Yes, welcome back. The Weekend Journal here on Newstalk 580 WTCM. Plus, you can get it later this afternoon on Facebook and YouTube. Jack O'Malley's Weekend Journal. You'll find it. All right. Hey, I want to thank my two guests, too. Simon Schuster of Bridge Magazine and Beth LeBlanc of the Detroit News. It's always good to have folks telling you what they're reporting on and what they're doing. So we'll keep that up here in the future. Let's talk about the update. Of course, Lansing kind of moved to Mackinac Island this week. The Detroit Area Chamber of Commerce holding their annual policy conference on the island. It's a big deal. Some years bigger than others. Of course, now we're gearing towards a gubernatorial election and that sort of thing. So lots happening on the island. A good opportunity for folks to get together, meet, talk, and pundits to pundit. So I thought start with this. This is kind of, Beth mentioned the budget issue. Well, Matt Hall, Speaker Hall, on the island says that we will move very soon on a budget, but it will be after July 1st. It says it will include $12,000 per pupil allowance. Right now it's at about 10. $1 billion school aid reserve fund and $5,500 scholarships per year for every Michigan high school graduate that attends a Michigan public university. About half that for community colleges. Holy moly! They're saying they're going to save some money in other places so that they can, put money forward for other issues. We'll see if it all washes out. Hall said he and House Appropriations Chair Ann Boleyn have gone through the budget earmarks. That is the answer to the question, where will the money come from? Fewer earmarks. He also says the 20% pupil allowance increase will allow school districts to hire more teachers, reduce class sizes, update textbooks, and so on and so forth. He says, let's see here, what else? Hall said one cause for the delay is that it doesn't make sense to pass a budget based on the consensus revenue estimating in January when they come out with a new one in May, which they did, and that's where the Democrats found that they were short by several hundred million. Says we're going to move forward very quickly with a very smart budget. That according to House Speaker Matt Hall. Also on the island, Detroit Mayor Mike Duggan is running for governor, right? And he says his number one issue is going to be education. He wants school districts accountable. And I'm telling you, ladies and gentlemen, what that exactly looks like, I don't know. I have my ideas, but that is the one area our schools as a whole, I'm not picking on anyone, have not been accountable. As I've said before, I'll say it till I'm blue in the face. Our Michigan State Board of Education is useless. And the way our state superintendent does his or her job is a waste of time. Dugan's keynote address at the policy conference said, with consequences for failed school leadership that would see a rating for the school district in year one, and if they're failing, they'd have a year to implement change. If they don't get her done, the state comes in to help them out. If after that year, second year, they're still failing, the principal is gone. And if after 5 years they're still stinking, the superintendent is gone. There's some accountability there. Dugan is referring, he also wants to pump $4.5 billion into the education system. We'll see. But that's his plan. All right, speaking of Dugan, the question is, well, Mike Dugan is going to run as an independent, and he's going to take votes away from the Democrats. A current poll, which even the pollsters said it's an early poll, just getting the lay of the land. Basically, Mike Dugan would draw from both Republicans and Democrats because there's a lot of people who are tired of Republicans and Democrats. It's just the way it is, folks. I know that, all the Democrats are the ones that stink. No, the Republicans are the ding-dongs. Yeah. The survey commissioned by the Detroit Regional Chamber for their annual event in a hypothetical three-way contest, the Democratic Secretary of State Jocelyn Benson got 34.5% of the vote. John James got 34%, and Dugan 21.5%, and 9.4% were undecided. And according to their inter stuff, he pulled from both sides of the aisle. Interesting. This was happening just last week as we were putting the show together, but the House has held Jocelyn Benson in contempt for not sending them all the information she says she has with regard to the clerk training materials. As I understand it, there's no penalties. It's a symbolic motion, and the Secretary of State said, well, we'll see you in court. So we'll see how that all plays out. But it is something to keep an eye on. Ann Boleyn, who I mentioned earlier is the budget person, said when it comes to election integrity, it's impossible to measure if overseers don't understand how administrators are trained. What is behind the cloak of secrecy in the e-learning center, she asks, adding that it leads her to believe that there is something unlawful in the e-learning center and that improper directives have been provided to clerks. We won't know until we see them, I guess, and that is what the House Oversight Committee is basically saying. Sticking with that sort of thing, Attorney General Dana Nessel has said, we've given you all the documents on the Flint water crisis. The House Oversight Committee said, look, give us all the information you have on the cost of the lawsuits and investigation in the Flint water. The Attorney General said, we've sent it. The Oversight Committee says it's just a whole bunch of documents that don't mean anything. So that one's probably headed to court too, but that's where that one stands. What about the economy nationally? How does Michigan feel? Well, especially with all the tariffs. Michigan, in a poll, the Detroit region did it again for Mackinac, imposed by Republican President Donald Trump. The survey was unveiled ahead of the conference. Asked about tariff potential impact on Michigan, 54% of the 600 participants said the effect would be bad. 35% said it would be good. 19 said, I don't know. Oh, my. Yeah, we'll see how it all plays out. And then, of course, since then, that federal appeals court or whatever has blocked any tariffs moving forward under the emergency law or whatever it is. Governor Gilchrist, who is running for governor, has kind of spoke out. He's been kind of quiet. He's the lieutenant governor. Whitmer's his boss. But she has now held the election for the 35th seat district 144 days. It's crazy. 250,000 people don't have a Senate representative? Well, the reason is in the Senate, it's a 19-18 split, with the Dems now with a one-vote majority. And there's real thought that this district could go Republican, and that would mean that there's a 19-19 split. And even though Gilchrist could cast the vote for the Democrats, Republicans could hold a vote here or there, hold back a vote here or there, and cause problems. So the governor has been trying to keep the Democrats in charge in the Senate. So my hunch is she will announce just let it roll with the primary in August and then the general election. It's going to go the whole year without somebody in that seat, my hunch. President Trump just the other day said he is going to look at pardoning the two men convicted of leading the plot to kidnap the governor back during the pandemic and all of that crazy stuff. The U.S. Justice Department's pardon attorney pledged that he would also take a hard look at those convictions. So we'll see what comes of that. Let's see here. How much time we got? All right, we're rolling here. We'll pass on that one. This is an interesting one. Senate. Sarah Anthony and Michelle Hoytinger, a Democrat and a Republican, have come up with a way to help save Michigan homeowners some money. Under the proposal, the eligibility cap will be raised to $70,700 for single filers and $141,400 for couples, et cetera, et cetera. This would help with the Michigan homestead property tax credit. So any way we can save money, I say I'm all for it. Let's see here. I don't want to worry about that one. Real quick, 2 bills allowing for oral roadside fluid testing to see if you are under the influence of something has passed, was heard in the House. The bill defines other bodily fluids as fluid from the human body. I think they're basically talking about saliva there. So that is potentially a new way to test for all sorts of drugs, including THC. We'll pass on that one, and we'll pass on that one too. All right, I thought this was interesting. The state appeals judge believes Michigan's legal system needs to address whether referring to complainants as victims is appropriate. Court appeals judge Brock Swartzel comment came in a panel's published opinion. Basically said, for far too long, Michigan judges have permitted a prosecutor to beg the question before the jury whether a complainant in a sexual assault case is in fact a victim of an assault. Swartzel wrote, by law, they should be saying the alleged victim. And without saying alleged victim, you are tainting the jury. So interesting. It's a little nuance there in the law, but I can see what they're saying. Now, the person who was raped or whatever is not going to appreciate that. But from a legal standpoint, until you're proven guilty, you have to be presumed innocent. Not always an easy pill to swallow for the person who was victimized. All right, I think that's pretty good here. We've got a gentleman coming up who is also a reporter, and he writes for Bridge, Michigan. And, that's kind of a more left-leaning publication, but I've really found it interesting. They do some really good work. If you've never checked out Bridge, Michigan, you should. But Simon Schuster coming up talking about foreign land ownership in the UP, and we're talking about a lot of land. Stay tuned, the Weekend Journal here on Newstalk 580. WTCM every Saturday morning. Having fun.